You are sitting at your desk at 11 at night, staring at a NASA application form that is 47 pages long. You have a PhD in aerospace engineering, a private pilot's license, 1,500 hours of jet flight time, and 3 published papers on orbital mechanics. You are one of 18,300 applicants. They will select 12. The first round is a paper review, your education, your publications, your flight hours, your medical history. A psychologist you have never met reads your personal statement and makes a judgment about whether you have the psychological resilience to be sealed inside a metal tube in a vacuum for 6 months. You pass. 18,000 becomes 460. The second round is an interview at Johnson Space Center in Houston. You walk through the halls where the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo astronauts walked. The walls are covered in mission patches. You sit in a room with 6 NASA officials and answer questions for 90 minutes. Not technical questions, personal ones. What do you do when things go wrong? How do you handle isolation? Have you ever failed publicly, and what did you do afterward? They watch how you interact during group activities. 20 candidates one day, a series of team tasks designed to reveal leaders, followers, cooperators, and people who crack under pressure. You don't know what they are looking for. No one does. The selection criteria have never been published. You go home and wait for 6 months. The envelope is thin. Your stomach drops. You open it. We are pleased to inform you. You stare at the words for 3 minutes before they register. You are one of 12. You call your wife. She screams so loudly you have to hold the phone away from your ear. You quit your job, pack your house, and move to Houston. Your new title is Astronaut Candidate, ASCAN. You are not an astronaut yet. You haven't earned anything yet. The real work starts now. 2 years of training. The most comprehensive education program on Earth. You study orbital mechanics, spacecraft systems, robotics, earth science, space medicine, Russian language, and the operation of every system on the International Space Station. A structure the size of a football field traveling at 17,500 miles per hour, 250 miles above the Earth. Water survival training in Pensacola. You are strapped into a mock capsule and dropped into a pool. The capsule flips upside down. You unbuckle, swim out the hatch, and surface. Then they do it again in a flight suit with a helmet in simulated waves. Then again at night with the lights off. You swallow so much chlorinated water that your stomach cramps for 2 days. The T-38 jet. A supersonic trainer aircraft that NASA uses not for its speed, but for its ability to force decision-making under stress. Your instructor takes you to 37,000 feet, rolls the aircraft inverted, and says, "You have the jet." Your brain freezes for half a second. You recover, roll wings level, and pull the nose above the horizon. He does not compliment you. He says that hesitation would kill you in a real emergency. Again. Then the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, a pool 40 feet deep and 200 feet long containing a full-scale mock-up of the International Space Station. You practice spacewalks here, submerged for 6 hours at a time in a 300-pound spacesuit that restricts your vision, your movement, and your ability to feel anything with your hands. The gloves are pressurized so tightly that squeezing a tool becomes a full hand effort. After 4 hours, your fingernails ache. After 6 hours, they bruise and sometimes fall off. At the end of 2 years, you receive your astronaut pin, a silver star on a gold background. You hold it in your palm and realize you have been working toward this moment for 20 years. You feel nothing, just readiness. You are assigned to your first mission. In 7 months, you will launch to the International Space Station aboard a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule for a 6-month expedition. Your role is flight engineer. You are responsible for the station's life support systems, the mechanisms that scrub carbon dioxide from the air, generate oxygen through electrolysis, recycle urine into drinking water, and maintain cabin pressure at 14.7 psi. Simulation after simulation. The team runs through every failure scenario: cabin depressurization, ammonia leak, fire, toxic atmosphere, medical emergency, and a dozen others. Each sim is 6 to 8 hours. You are sealed in the mock-up with your crew, running checklists, making calls, responding to alarms that never stop. The instructors throw compound failures at you, fire in the lab module during a docking while the carbon dioxide scrubber is offline. You learn that in space, problems do not come one at a time. Launch day. You are lying on your back in the capsule, strapped in, helmet sealed, watching the countdown on the display. At T-minus 10 seconds, the engines ignite. The vibration is unlike anything you have experienced, not a shake, but a deep, bone-level rumble that comes from below and passes through your entire body. At T0, the hold-down clamps release and you feel the acceleration. 1G, then 1.5, then 2, then 3, your chest compresses, your arms weigh 30 pounds each. The sky outside the window turns from blue to black in 90 seconds. Main engine cutoff. Silence. Absolute, overwhelming silence. You float. Your arms rise off the armrests. A pen drifts past your visor. You look out the window and see the Earth, the whole thing, a blue marble suspended in nothing. Your throat tightens. No photograph has ever captured what this looks like. No screen, no IMAX, no VR headset. This is real. You are in space. 6 hours later, you vomit into a bag because your vestibular system has completely lost its reference frame and your brain thinks you are falling. Welcome to microgravity. The International Space Station is a machine that is constantly trying to break. Every system has a backup. Every backup has a procedure. You spend your days maintaining, repairing, and monitoring a structure that was built by 15 countries over 30 years. The carbon dioxide scrubber fails on a Tuesday. The CO2 level in the station rises from 0.4% to 0.7% in 2 hours. At 1%, you get headaches. At 3%, you lose consciousness. At 5%, you die. You troubleshoot the CDRA, the carbon dioxide removal assembly, replacing a desiccant bed that has become saturated. It weighs 80 pounds on Earth but floats weightlessly in front of you, requiring careful, slow movements to avoid damaging the surrounding equipment. You work for 4 hours. The system restarts. CO2 levels drop. You update Houston. You exercise 2 hours every day, not for fitness, for survival. In microgravity, your muscles atrophy and your bones lose density at a rate of 1 to 2% per month. Without exercise, you would return to Earth unable to walk. You run on a treadmill harnessed to the machine by bungee cords. You lift weights on a resistance device that uses vacuum cylinders instead of gravity. Your body fights you the entire time. Your spine has stretched by 2 inches because without gravity compressing your vertebral discs, they have expanded. Your face is puffy from fluid redistribution. Your vision is slightly blurred. Intracranial pressure has increased, pushing on your optic nerves. The hardest part is not the work. It is the view. You look out the cupola, a 7-window observation dome, and watch the Earth scroll beneath you. Sunrises every 90 minutes. Thunderstorms over the Amazon that flash like strobe lights across a 1,000-mile front. The aurora borealis rippling green and violet across the polar regions. You are looking at the most beautiful thing any human being has ever seen, and you are completely alone with it. You call your wife. The delay is half a second, but it feels like a canyon. Your first EVA extravehicular activity, a spacewalk. You are about to step outside the space station into the vacuum of space in a suit that is the only thing keeping you alive. The suit is a 280-pound self-contained spacecraft. It provides oxygen, removes carbon dioxide, regulates temperature, and protects you from micrometeorites traveling at 25,000 miles per hour. A particle the size of a grain of sand at that velocity has the energy of a bullet. The suit's outer layer is designed to absorb these impacts. You try not to think about whether it will work. You depressurize the airlock over 4 hours, breathing pure oxygen to flush nitrogen from your blood. Then the hatch opens. You look out. There is no floor, there is no sky. There is Earth below you, bright blue and enormous, and above you the absolute blackness of space. You are 250 miles up, moving at 17,500 miles per hour, and there is no sound. Complete, absolute silence. Your own breathing is the loudest thing in the universe. You translate along the station's truss structure, moving hand over hand along rails, your tether trailing behind you. One hand must always be on the station. If you let go, there is no rescue. You will drift away at a fraction of a mile per hour, and you will float in your suit until your oxygen runs out in approximately 6 hours. Your body will then orbit the Earth for years before atmospheric drag pulls you down and you burn up on re-entry. You replace a failed pump module on the station's thermal control system. The pump weighs 460 pounds on Earth. In space, it is weightless but has full inertia. If it starts moving, it keeps moving. You guide it into position with the precision of a watchmaker, using tools designed for pressurized gloves that you can barely feel. Your fingers are numb after hour 3. You have been outside for 5 hours and 11 minutes. You lock the pump into place. The station's thermal system comes back online. You pause. You look down. Egypt, the Nile, a green thread in a brown desert. You look up. Stars. More stars than you have ever seen. You are floating in nothing. You are alive. This is real. Second mission. You launch on a Soyuz from Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The capsule is half the size of the Crew Dragon. Your knees are against your chest. The launch profile is different, more violent, more acceleration, a sharper arc to orbit. The rocket literally shakes itself to pieces around you as each stage separates. You are the flight commander for Expedition 68, 3 crew members. 6 months, you are responsible for every aspect of the mission: the science, the maintenance, the crew dynamics, the emergency responses. When the ground calls Houston and Moscow, they talk to you. A fire alarm activates in the Russian segment, not a drill. You close hatches, isolate the module, and don a portable breathing apparatus. The crew gathers at the Soyuz, the escape vehicle, and waits. It takes 11 minutes to determine that the alarm was triggered by a dust particle in the smoke detector. 11 minutes during which you seriously considered evacuating the station and deorbiting. Your crew is calm because you are calm. You are not calm, you are performing calm. You conduct over 40 experiments: biology, physics, materials science, Earth observation. You grow protein crystals that could lead to better cancer drugs. You study how fire behaves without gravity, watching a candle flame form a perfect blue sphere. You photograph climate patterns, deforestation, glacial retreat. The data you collect will be analyzed by thousands of scientists on the ground. You are a laboratory technician, janitor, plumber, electrician, and test pilot, all at once, all the time, 250 miles above everything you love. You are assigned as chief of the astronaut office at Johnson Space Center. This is the most senior operational role an astronaut can hold without leaving the Corps. You select crews, you assign missions, you determine who flies and who waits. The waiting list is long. Astronauts can wait 8 to 10 years between missions. Some never fly a second time. You sit across the desk from colleagues, people you trained with, flew with, risked your life with, and tell them they were not selected for the next mission. Their faces don't change. They nod, they thank you, they walk out. You know exactly what it feels like because you waited 6 years for your second flight. You oversee the transition to the Artemis program, the moon. For the first time in over 50 years, NASA is sending humans back to the lunar surface. The new spacecraft, the new suit, the new mission architecture, all of it flows through your office. You select the crew for Artemis III, the first crewed lunar landing. 4 astronauts, 2 will walk on the moon. You make the selection. It is the hardest decision of your career, not because of who you choose, but because of who you don't. You spend your days in meetings, reviews, and simulations. You miss flying. You miss the silence of orbit. You miss the view. You run the T-38 program and fly twice a month to stay current, but it's not the same. The sky ends. Space doesn't. You are selected for Artemis V. You are going to the moon. You will be the mission commander, responsible for the surface operations, the crew, and the lander. The transit takes 4 days. You ride in the Orion capsule with 3 other astronauts. The moon grows from a silver disk to a scarred gray world that fills your entire window. You can see craters, mountains, the ancient lava plains that the Apollo astronauts called seas. You are going to the South Pole, a region that has never been explored by humans. The permanently shadowed craters there contain water ice, the resource that will make sustained lunar presence possible. Powered descent. You are in the lunar lander, watching the altitude tick down. 2,000 feet, 1,000 feet. 500 feet, the engine is firing, slowing your descent. Dust, gray, fine, and electrically charged, billows up around the windows. You cannot see the surface. You fly on instruments. 100 feet, 50 feet, contact light, engine stop, silence. The dust settles. You look out the window. The lunar surface is 3 feet below you. Gray regolith stretching to a horizon that is impossibly close. The moon is small, and the curve of the surface is visible even from ground level. The sky is black. Stars are out, but so is the Earth, a blue marble hanging above the horizon, half-lit, heartbreakingly fragile. You descend the ladder. Your boot presses into the regolith. It compresses like packed flour. You are standing on the moon. You look up at the Earth. Everyone you have ever known, everyone you have ever loved, everything that has ever happened in human history, it is all right there, small enough to cover with your thumb. You say something into the comm. The words have been prepared. Mission Control hears them. The world hears them. You don't remember what they are. All you can think is, I am here. I am actually here. You are 51 years old. You have logged 487 days in space across 3 missions. You have walked on the moon, and now they are asking you to do something no human has ever done. Mars. The mission is 32 months, 8 months in transit each way, 16 months on the surface. You will be farther from Earth than any human being has ever traveled, at its closest, 34 million miles. Communication delay is up to 22 minutes each way. If something goes wrong, Houston cannot help you in real time. You are on your own. The transit vehicle is larger than the ISS, but feels smaller because you share it with only 5 other crew members for 8 months. The radiation exposure outside Earth's magnetosphere is significant. Galactic cosmic rays and solar particle events that can damage your DNA, increase cancer risk, and cause acute radiation syndrome during a major solar flare. The vehicle has a storm shelter, a heavily shielded compartment you retreat to during solar events. You spend 47 hours in the shelter during a coronal mass ejection on the 3rd month. The radiation alarm chirps every time a particle passes through the detector. It chirps often. Mars grows in your viewport from a red dot to a world. Rust-colored deserts, polar ice caps, the scar of Valles Marineris, a canyon 3,000 miles long and 4 miles deep. You enter orbit. The lander separates. You descend through an atmosphere that is 1% as dense as Earth's, using a combination of heat shield, parachute, and retrorockets. The landing sequence takes 7 minutes. They call it 7 minutes of terror because it is too fast for ground control to intervene. If something fails, you deal with it or you die. You land. Jezero crater. You step onto the surface. The soil is red-orange. The sky is butterscotch. The temperature is -80 degrees. You are standing on Mars. You are 140 million miles from home. The radio delay to Earth is 14 minutes. You send a message. It will arrive at mission control after you have already finished your first EVA. You are the most isolated human being who has ever lived, and you have 16 months of this ahead of you. You are 61 years old. You have returned from Mars. The mission was 34 months. You lost 11% of your bone density. Your vision has permanently degraded from intracranial pressure changes during the transit. You have a radiation exposure that puts your lifetime cancer risk at the upper boundary of NASA's acceptable limits. You will never fly again. You sit in the astronaut office at Johnson Space Center. The desk is covered in mission patches, crew photos, and a chunk of Martian basalt sealed in a glass case, a personal memento that technically belongs to NASA but nobody has asked for. Your hands are older than you remember. The skin is thin, spotted from UV exposure through spacecraft windows. Your wedding ring is loose because your fingers have permanently thinned from muscle atrophy. You teach. You lecture at universities, briefing rooms, and congressional hearings. You tell them about the silence of space, the loneliness of Mars, the 14 minutes of waiting to hear your daughter's voice on a delayed comlink. You tell them about the night you stood on the Martian surface and watched Earth rise, a tiny blue dot so small you could barely distinguish it from the surrounding stars. Everything you loved was in that dot. Everything. A young ASCAN approaches you after a briefing. She's 29. She has a PhD in astrobiology and 1,200 hours of jet time. She asks you, what is the one thing you wish someone had told you before your first flight? You are quiet for a long time. You think about the launches, the spacewalks, the moon, Mars, the years spent in metal boxes breathing recycled air. You think about the missed holidays, the strained marriages, the friends you buried, that you'll never feel at home on Earth again, you say. Once you've seen it from the outside, the whole thing, floating in the dark, you can never unsee it. You'll walk through the grocery store and think about the atmosphere above you. You'll look at the sunset and calculate the angle of refraction. You'll hold your grandchild and think about the cosmic ray particles passing through both of you every second. She nods. She doesn't understand yet. She will. You drive home that evening. The Texas sky is wide and orange. You pull over on the side of the highway and get out. You stand there looking up. The stars are coming out. You can name every one of them. You have navigated by them. You have traveled between them. The universe is impossibly large and you have touched the smallest fraction of it, but you touched it. You get back in the car. The phone buzzes. An email from the Artemis program director. They want you to consult on crew selection for the second Mars mission. You smile. The sky was never the limit. It was always the beginning.